Yeah.
A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. And it's been great to see some boats get in because the weather is turning steadily snottier. At the moment, we have 21 degrees though, and it's been dry this afternoon, but 100% cloud cover after a very wet morning. It's anything from 7 to 20 knots from the north-northeast. It's just gusty. But quite humid, 78%, and 1019.8 dropping. And as I said, 100% cloud cover. But boats have been getting in, and it's really, really good to see. Opua has got Freya in. Todd and Susan arrived at 3:30. Hopefully Customs arrived a bit earlier than they did yesterday. Tatus arrived in Opua, and also Bellina, so they will be able to sit and be buffeted by the wind and not have to worry about sail control or anything like that. So let's have a look at the Minerva weather from Pogean. Thank you, Rich and Michelle. 17 knots south-southeast. This came in about 5 o'clock, I think it was. 1.5 metres outside, so that's dropped a bit. 80% cloud cover and 1017 on the bar. There are 8 boats at Minerva at the moment, and there is a news radio station. It's Minerva Radio, which has a get-together in the mornings, and I think David will add some comments for your discussions tomorrow about when you might want to leave. I'll tell you who they are there. Apart from Pogean, there's VAR, Coral Moon, Morning Star, Odyssey, Merryweather, Awa, and a motor vessel called Kainvor. Not sure about the pronunciation there.
I think that's right,
Kainvor, yep, okay. And so yeah, David will be commenting about the next passage from Minerva. First Light is getting pretty close. They've just emailed in 34 degrees 01 south, 17442 east. On a course of 5.9 at 181 true, and quite civilised. 11 knots from the north, a 1 metre northeast swell. Overcast like here, 1021, and only 82 to go to Opua, so a very civilised time to arrive tomorrow morning. And by the way, folks, I happened to talk to them today just to make sure that they had a tender in case operating in case First Light needed it, and absolutely wonderful help up there. They're a really, really good marina, as is Marsden, of course, but they were very, very helpful, and had already been talking to the Sea Power, who has actually ordered and got a engine mount bracket there, so that will be arriving about the same time as First Light.
So unheard of.
Yeah, David says it's unheard of, but yeah, fantastic response up there. And so anybody else that's coming in, just make sure if there is no this is for the marinas, it's during marina operating times, but we've had occasion in the past to call the Coast Guard there, and they are fantastic too. They go out of their way to try and handle boats, and the worse the weather, the more they seem to enjoy it. So it's amazing. I'll just give boats that are coming in the tides. First of all, Opua tides. It's 7 minutes past midnight tonight. There is a low tide at 6:31 in the morning, a high tide, and 12:31 after midday, a low, and 18:48 a high. So it really does help to know the tides so that you could make use both there and at Marsden of the long track in and manoeuvring at the end.
And those currents coming
Those
down the
currents can be pretty phenomenal. At Marsden Point, the tides are a little bit different, about an hour different actually. 1:07 early morning, low tide, 7:29 a.m. high tide. It's 2.7, so it's pretty big tide. 13:32 low tide, half a metre, and tomorrow night 19:45 a high tide, again at 2.7. Okay, so there are two boats heading there. Rubicon, they're anticipating Bream Head at 3 a.m. It's all very well lit, as everybody knows, and they certainly have been there before. Their noon position was 3436 and 17522. They have winds 15 to 20 out there, northeast, 1.5 to 2 meters swell. We've got a bit of sun. I don't know where that came from because we certainly haven't seen it today. And they actually said it, although breezy, it's been a lovely day. 65% cloud cover. Same with Big Fish. They've only got 79 miles to go. 3441 south and 17522 east. 190 true, 6.5 knots. 17 knots from the northeast, 2 meter northeast swell, and a very thin 60% cloud cover, and again nice weather. So we've just got the worst of it here by the look of it. Oh, and I forgot to mention Ballina is in Opua as well. So well done all you folk for getting in with before the worst of the winds, and then of course on Saturday they're turning to the south. Okay, sea breeze, White Hawk heading way in the opposite direction. 5 o'clock tonight, they had crossed the equator, of course. They were 1 degree 50 north and 17128 east. Their course is 010 true. I think it's roughly about what's the ones from Majuro? The beginning with T.
What are you asking?
Oh,
about?
don't worry. Speed over ground is 5 knots, and the wind is 11 to 12 east-southeast, less than 1 metre easterly, and thank you, Tarawa. See, this is the problem with getting old, something that you know very well. It just drops out of the surface brain.
Tarawa,
yes.
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, why didn't I tell you? 10% cloud cover. Hello, John and Lynette, whoever's on the machine there. And the bar up there is 1008. 10% cloud cover. Gosh, that would be lovely to have that sun. All right, so that's we've hardly got anybody on our list now, and
Okay.
so David is going to talk very shortly, but I do need to try and find Kuaka, Gulf Harbour. Ooh, it's pretty light, but you know the drill. Just go slow and clearly, Ben, over.
What the hell? She's throw that at me?
Well, I've got a lot of noise again, and not too good on the copy here. I got the end of it. It seems to pick up always as you are going through.
Gets better.
10% cloud cover, 1006, and all well on board. But boy, I need the good stuff. Does anybody copy Ben on Kuaka a lot better than I am? Please call now. Oh, thank you, Barry. You sound much stronger than last night. Have you left the marina? Mackay, if you could pick that up, go ahead. Over.
Yeah, Roger, I copied him just fine. I'll give you his position. 7 degrees, 28 minutes south, 79 degrees, 05 west, on a course of 332 degrees, doing 6 knots. He's got 15 knots of wind from the south-southeast, 10% on the cloud cover, 1.5 meter seas, and his bar is 1006. All is well on board, over.
Oh, fantastic. Good copy from you. It's obviously coming well into there. So, and I certainly got the all well on board. So, good evening, Ben and Sophie. All covered. Thank you very much to Barry. So, have a very good night. That's pretty nice winds, actually, to be trucking along. So, you won't have too much trouble. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone now to David to do the all-important weather, and then I will give a call to anybody else. And I've just had, I actually got Kotanui's position before. I'll read that out after David has finished. They're doing well, and yes, I saw Picasso trying to catch you up. Here's David.
All right. Yeah. Hello to all of our listeners tonight, and just about all of our yachts that we've been talking to are beating the cold front, arriving tomorrow. The forecast that we gave yesterday seems to be right on, so that's good. The Tasman Depression, that'll be moving southeast over the country tomorrow, as we talked about yesterday, while the frontal bands, well, they'll be crossing the North Island. So from North Cape to Breamhead, Friday, expect north 20 to 25 knots and higher in gusts, and you could expect 35 knots or more in these gusts. Then they'll be shifting to the southwest, 15 to 20, as the bands pass by in the evening. Northeast swell about 2 meters, and of course, poor visibility in rain, which will be heavy at times. So, a big washdown for you if you get caught out in that. Hopefully, you're at the dock by then. A note, though, around Bream Head, winds will be higher than what I just gave you. Northerly, 25 knots, gusting 35 in the late morning, then 30, gusting 40 for a time in the afternoon. So make sure the hatches are well battened down, as I'm sure they are. So jumping up to the islands and looking at satellite imagery, I see very heavy convective activity with heavy thunderstorm activity in the Solomons, also engulfing Vanuatu. Then the trough, and within all this is a trough, that runs from there over northern Fiji, clips Wallis and Futuna, and continues east-southeastward. Now, upper level winds, 500 millibar to 250 millibar, and that's 18,000 feet to about 40,000 feet for those that care, and they're running about 100 knots, and they're going west to east. So what's happening is these winds are bringing plenty of cloud over the passage routes to New Zealand. So this is extremely noticeable from Newcastle to Norfolk to our depression that's about over the country. And also there is an area that's just south of Minerva showing plenty of thunderstorm activity and lots of ancillary cloud moving more or less west to east, all moving along by these upper level winds. So if you were to look at your satellite picture and you see all that cloud, that upper level activity is what's moving them along and actually helping them stay clouds. So now the Minerva fleet, as we found out today, is doing a bit of forecasting, we see, thanks to Pajan, Rich there. So we've got 8 yachts that they have picked the 22nd to possibly depart from Minerva. So, well, the forecast for Minerva tomorrow, I'll just say that because that's part of what we do, is east to southeast winds, 10 to 20, with about a 2.5 meter swell outside the reef. So that conforms to the actuals that we got from Pagean. So that's good. Now, for Friday, the 22nd, that is quite an iffy looking forecast day. Apart from it being a Friday, I hope you guys know that it's a Friday. With the high, we have a high to the east of the date line. And for those of you that don't know much about Minerva, Minerva is just about on the date line and about 24 south. So there's a high to the east of the date line, and well, we have another high to the west. And then we have a depression that's due south of Minerva. And there may be, on that date, a weak frontal band over or near Minerva. So that is a bit unfortunate if that's the case. Now, the winds, which is also unfortunate, could be southwest on the rum line to New Zealand. This is on the 22nd or 23rd or 21st. These winds are from both the western high that we talked about and the southern low that we talked about. So I'm looking at long range forecast models. So all the way out to the 27th of November, 27th, so that's 5 days, and that's about how long it would take to get to New Zealand from Minerva, roughly, except for you fast catamarans. That shows the high, that western high, pretty much over New Zealand, which is good news. So the rum winds, the rum line winds, could be easterlies, which is not bad at all. So yeah, an interesting choice of a date, and for me, it would be fun to scope out this little project for the fleet. So if you folks want to pass anything by me, I'd be very happy to comment on it. And in the meantime, I'll be looking also at what happens if you leave on or about the 22nd. And, you know, bear in mind, if you're looking at long-range modeling, you know, the Gulf Harbour mantra, the models are just an idea, and I won't quote the rest of it because you're sick of hearing of it, I'm sure. But anyway,
something to work on.
Yeah, something to work on. So that's it from me, and I'll pass it back to the chief.
Well, if they weren't all talking about the weather up there, they would probably be talking about where they're going to go snorkeling for the day and where they're going to find a nice crayfish. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about on Radio Minerva, so wish we could tune in from here. Okay, just to tell you about the two kid boats heading up to Indonesia. This is Kotanui and Picasso. Kotanui is now at 1822 and 16505, ripping along 10 knots, nothing like a catamaran with the wind from the southeast. 255 true course and a lovely 14 knots southeast. They've got the kite up and probably got big smiles on their face. 1009 and it's overcast with isolated showers. And Picasso that's a pretty big monohull, I believe, 26 miles behind them. So come on, the monohull. All right, is there anybody else wanting to join us? Please call. No, nothing heard. So have a very good evening, everybody. Everyone is getting in pretty well. God, I hope we can find some good weather for the fleet, because I want to get out of here at the end of November and get on to Chameleon. Okay, cheers everybody. If you want the frequency, it is all yours. Cheers all.